My name is Rhoda Mwekali-Keru. I'm in the hospitality industry. And how did I end up in this industry? So I have studied computer science. I went to the UK to study computer science. When I got there, the ones who had gone to school via fundraising had to get a job. You had to do something on the side so that you could have money for upkeep. So I got a job at McDonald's, and because of course I was just straight out of high school, so I was given the job as a bus boy, the people who wipe the tables and clear the tables and check after the washrooms. And we were with my sister in London, and she told me, she used to feel sorry for me. She told me that, don't worry, you'll get a better job very soon and you'll be able to move from McDonald's. But I totally enjoyed my time at McDonald's. I completely enjoyed serving people. I enjoyed meeting people in the morning. I used to look forward to go to wipe those tables and to clean those toilets. And so, yeah, for the entire time that I was in the UK studying, I did not get another job. I actually rose from busboy to managing a restaurant, a McDonald's restaurant in London Wall. That's where I discovered my love for hospitality. So I rose up from busboy to the kitchen, to a cashier, to assistant manager, and then to manager. By the time I was finishing my course and ready to come back home, I was now managing the restaurant. But I had finished my course and I had always wanted to come back home and work. So God was gracious, I got work. And I came back to Nairobi and I got a job at an industrial area. That was the moment where we were moving everything from paperwork to computerizing everything. So computerizing the sales process, the procurement process. And so that's why I went and I dug into it, and I worked in industrial area for 10 years. But while I was in industrial area, that bag that had been hit or that had been lit for hospitality industry was still there. So I kept on looking for ways and avenues to go back to this thing that really excited me. And 10 years into working in the factory in industrial area, economic times changed in Kenya and that factory closed. So this was my big break. I decided that since I have this opportunity, I'm going to go into the hospitality space. And so I started looking. Now, my training is in computer science. I have been working in administration, because that's what I could call it. I've been working in administration for the last 10 years. I have no training in hospitality. I have no experience in hospitality. So it was really difficult to get into this space. I wrote letters, I wrote applications, I went for interviews, but nobody would touch me with a 10-foot pole, because what are you bringing? Yeah, just a lot of energy and dreams and visions. So at one point I just said, it's okay, God, what I'm looking for now is anywhere that I can practice this thing that I feel that I have. And I met a gentleman who was in property. He was managing serviced apartments. And I told him, he was an old man, he had been in the industry for 25 years by then. And I told him, what I want is I want to work under you and learn. I'll work for free. And he was gracious enough to take me in, and for a year, I worked under him. I learned valuable lessons about asset management, about marketing in property sales and marketing, about agency fees and how an agent works. I learned about taking care of an asset, what we call preventive maintenance, PMPs. And so I learned a lot. After a year, I was like, okay, I think now I'm ready. I can go out into the market to look for another job, to start to practice what it is that I've learned. And so that's when I started now again. making applications. So let me give a bit of a background again here. So I was active in church, and I think that is also where I got some connections. So at this point that I'm looking to go back into, to enter into this space of hospitality, and I've had a year of practice or training, really, it was pupillage. I was involved in church, and in the church I was involved at the time, we used to host pastors. Pastors would come in from different counties, and we would host them in Nairobi for a week-long prayer conference. And so during that week, I was put in charge for the home where the pastors were going to stay. And so I was in charge with everything from organizing their sleeping, their airport pickups and drop-offs to the venue for the conference, the food, the menus, coming up with the menus that we'd be having, and basically everything that you would need to find, or you would find in a hotel setting, because we used to host them in a guest house. We would hire a whole house and host them there. So I was put in charge of that, coming up with the menu, and it was amazing. We sat down with the team that I was working with, and we came up with breakfast menus, lunch menus, dinner menus, and how to get them, the transfers from the guest house to the venue of the conference. And it was really nice meeting them, meeting and greeting and talking, and again, so now this fire that I had about hospitality and being with people was now aflame. So it was at this place that I met a lovely lady who was also in the church with us, and she told me, after we had worked together, she told me she's going to introduce me to a friend of hers who runs a hotel. And then she did. Now, allow me to stop here and give some background of where I think even some of this like and passion and attraction to hospitality came from. My mother used to have properties. I come from Makueni. So along the road from Nairobi to Makueni, my mom had 2 properties that she turned into guest houses, and she would host people across. And my mom's motto was simple but clean. So her places were not very exotic. They didn't have any flares about them. It was just a simple room with a comfortable bed, clean, with the essentials that you would need. And what would that be? That would be a towel, that would be soap, and water. And so I would see how she would do. And I'd ask her, Mom, we are in the middle of nowhere, in Makueni, in the heat, in the dust. Why go into such levels to create this space? Who's gonna appreciate it here? And my mother would tell me, you don't do it for them or to their standards, you do it to your standards. So you have to keep on raising your standards and not lowering them because of the area that you're in. So if you go and open a space in Kilome, because that is where her first guest house was, then don't create a space for the people in Kilome, because then what are you doing? Create a space to your standards higher than that, so that when the people who are in that area come, they will see something different, and they'll be like, oh, and then that is how you create your customers. Customers always know that there is a person. If so and so is in this county, then we have a good place to sleep, comfortable, clean, with the essentials. So she taught me to always start from basics. What does somebody need if you're looking for a place to sleep? Okay, so that is something that I grew up with, seeing and hearing. All right, so we move forward to now. I've been done this introduction. I'm going for an interview, and all I have is energy, vision, and belief that this industry is where I'm supposed to be. I went for the interview. The owner of the hotel, interviewed me and liked me, and then decided, okay, we're going to start. But we are not going to start with she had 2 facilities. She had the major hotel, but she also had her own outfit that she was running, that was an outside catering outfit. So she told me, you want to start with the outside catering and grow it. Treat it as your own. Now, the Bible does say that if you're faithful in little, you're faithful in much. So she gave me the outside catering outfit, and I took it. It was green start off. So I came up with a sales and marketing strategy. And the sales and marketing strategy that I've always had from the beginning is the same strategy that Jesus used when he gave to his disciples. He told his disciples, do this. When you start preaching, you start from home. You start from Jerusalem, then you go to Samaria, and then to the ends of the world. You don't start from the ends of the world coming in. You start from in, going out. And so when she gave me this opportunity, that's what I did. From where we were, I started my sales and marketing, starting from there, going out. I started with the offices where the office of this property was, marketed to them, and started having small groups of 5 for tea and snacks, groups of 10 for tea, snacks, and lunch. I had a team of 2, which was me, a waitress, and the chef. And so we would come up with the menus, we would buy the items, the condiments that we would need. The chef would prepare, we would set up, we would serve. We would clear, we would wash and store everything. Tomorrow wake up and play repeat. And we did this for a month. I think I did this for a month, and within that month I did 2 weddings, I did a number of conference meetings for few numbers, like 5, 10, 15 maximum. And by the end of that month, she called me aside and said, okay, now, I think I can give you the hotel to do the same. And so she onboarded me onto her team as a sales and marketing manager, and that was my first gig. Okay, my second gig, really, into the hospitality industry. And I've never looked back. I have worked in different facilities from then on until now that I am managing serviced apartments that have a capacity of, I think we have about 300 beds right here in Nairobi. And it's been a great journey. I've given you a brief of how I got into this industry and have been in this industry. I started off as a sales and marketing manager, and then I've grown up to now where I manage the facilities. I have worked with different facilities, locally owned facilities, family businesses. I have done international brands. So now the facility that I am in right now, we are serviced apartments that offer service. They're fully furnished, fully serviced, starting from studios all the way to 3-bedroom apartments. And we have a restaurant on site, so that if you don't want to cook, you can eat at the restaurant. So what is a serviced apartment? A serviced apartment is a house. It's a complete house, fully furnished, fully serviced. You just walk in with your bags, and then you buy items that you want to cook. It's the same concept as Airbnb, but now we manage it ourselves. Airbnb is a bit different because there are different people who manage the different units. All these units, I have about 168. All these units are managed by us together. So when you come in, we have a reception. It's what we actually call it is an apartment hotel, because that is what it is, like a hotel, but with more value, because you have complete control over your space. So I have been in this facility since pre-COVID. So COVID is what we would call a new normal. COVID changed everything that or our lives were disrupted, actually. And so this industry was also disrupted. One of the things that COVID brought was something called social distancing. Now, in our industry, we cannot social distance because sociality or being social or together is the core part of the hospitality industry. So, in my opinion, I think that our industry was like the hardest hit. I don't think it's my opinion only, but we were the hardest hit by COVID because we could not work from home. So it was either you are open or you're closed, one of the two things. You could not be open and you have no guests coming in. There are no planes coming in. The restaurants were closed. So you were either closed or you were operating. So the space that I'm in, the serviced apartments, we had sort of a soft landing. Why? Because as opposed to hotels, in serviced apartments, you're able to control your own space. So, and some of the people who were living with us at the time, this were their homes. So they did not have anywhere to go. And thankfully, that is what helped us stay afloat. The people who had to traveled, left and went, and then we were left with a critical mass that stayed with us, and they allowed for us to stay open. And we could be able to pay our overheads and keep our staff during that period. So thankfully, we did not lose any staff during COVID, and we did maintain a few people. Now, so we had to go back to the drawing board. We had to go back to the drawing board and think, how is this business space going to look like past COVID? Yeah, because before we were all touchy-feeling. Let me carry your bag to your room. Let me walk you into your room. We have all this in-house, in-room catalog that people are turning, and everything was points of contact. Reduce the points of contact so that you do not spread this virus to the next person. But our industry is all about contact. So what's going to happen? How is it going to be moving forward? And we had to sit and to think and to plan. How do we do this without removing the hospitality aspect of hospitality? Put glass barriers where we didn't have glass barriers before. Ask people to step further away from the reception desk. Cannot carry your bag. If I carry your bag for you, I have to sanitize it. I cannot open the door for you. If I do, I have to sanitize it. It was a lot. That is internally. That is after you have reached our premises. But then now there was the aspect of before you reach our premises. Who is coming? Who was coming before and who is coming next? So we had to change our strategy. Our strategy had always been our core markets. Our core markets were Europe and America. Those are the people who were coming. So all our marketing, most of it, huge percentage of our marketing was towards this market in Europe and in America, because they're the ones who are traveling into Kenya. But they are the first ones who stopped coming. And so now we had to start thinking, okay, so who is the next market? And it was very interesting because the people who we had overlooked before in our marketing are the people who supported us during this period. The Africans. The African market was not afraid. Okay, so there was a period where the whole world was looking at Africa when COVID hit, and they were expecting that Africa, we will start dropping down like flies and dying. But day 1, day 2, first week, second week, third month, and we're not doing that. And so there was all this resilience, that was in Africa. And so our Africans were like, okay, as we are getting up and we are continuing with business, because here, what has happened in Spain and in Italy and the other places did not happen here, thankfully. And we are really grateful to God that it did not happen here. And so we quickly got up, the African continent, quickly got up and we started traveling. Not only that, but also the Asian market, the Arab market. Those ones, not really Asia so much, but the Arab market. They quickly again got up. They were the very first people to be immunized, like the entire space, and they started traveling. So we started seeing inquiries coming in from Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, Nigeria, Ghana, Central Republic. We're like, wow. So now we moved our marketing and started targeting Africa. Started targeting the African market and started targeting the Arab market because they were still traveling. And it was very different. It was a very different market for us to go to and for us to receive. Because again, when the African market comes in, they're a bit different from the European market because they're We are Africans. Africans are friendly and we are homely, and we don't like so many frills. We just want comfort, a clean place to stay. We want you to greet us in the morning. We don't really have all that space issues. And so that is the market that we went to. And if you look at the report, the tourism report for last year, you will see that Africa as a whole was the biggest market together. When you put North Africa and Central Africa, South Africa together, they were the biggest people the numbers that came into Kenya. And so that is what we started doing. Now that is for us, but also for my friends who I've spoken to who are in the industry. And you can attest that we started now focusing on Kenyans. There were facilities that we never marketed to Kenyans, but now we started marketing. We had Kenyan rates, for facilities, and Kenyans started coming into our facilities, and it was completely different. But we quickly learned and started serving our people very well. So that is the first thing. The first thing is that we had to change our sales and marketing strategy to focus on Africa and Arab, the different markets, not the different markets other than the core markets that used to come before. So that was step number one. Step number two, during COVID and after COVID, we had to sit down and look at our inventory. In the beginning, we looked, as I've mentioned, I have 168 apartments. And I had a critical mass that remained with me. So at first, of course, we had to lock down some inventory and keep just what we needed open at the time. And then now start reopening as people came. Then we would open more apartments and add more inventory to it. We started looking at our purchasing to see that, first of all, we would purchase. Before, when we would purchase quarterly, we brought it down to monthly, so that we could, be able to be quickly change if the next month the forecast looks better, then order more than what we need, so that we don't have cash sitting down as stock. So look at at what we need and purchase month on month, other than more forecasting for longer periods of time. And so this made us to be very agile, very flexible. Sometimes where we moved from something that we had never thought about called zero-based budgeting. Because before, you'd always look, when you're budgeting, you'd always look at last month or last financial year, and then look at this financial year, and then focus for the next financial year. But now we did not have anything to look. Everybody, we were in this thing, all of us together. So something new. There was nobody who was coming to Europe to come and tell us that this is what we did the last time we had COVID. Because the last time there was something like this was in 1902. Nobody was alive. So all of us were on the same stage. All of us were learning this and planning this thing together. And I think that really helped us in Africa and in Kenya to trust ourselves, because we came up with indigenous plans for us, starting for Kenyans, by Kenyans for Kenyans, then by Africans for Africans, or for Africa. And I think that is also what is leading to the new emergence of where we are saying we are Africa is the new frontier, is the now frontier actually, not the new frontier, it is the now frontier. So we've talked about how the market changed past COVID. But the other thing that changed past COVID is the manpower. You see, there's a time in our industry where the people who were coming into the industry, going for training to get into the hospitality industry, were doing it because of the marks that they got. So we ended up with a workforce that was really not passionate about being in this section, in this space. So comes COVID, and as we've mentioned, a lot of facilities closed down. So a lot of people were sent home. And while they were at home, there were a lot of thoughts of, am I in the right place? Will this industry ever recover? This paper that I studied in F&B, in front office services, will it be just a paper that I cannot use anymore? So people were thinking a lot. And there's even a time where people thought, okay, maybe I went into the wrong industry. But what this helped us with, it helped with sifting the workforce that we had. Because as the industry has started reopening, the people who are coming back into the industry are people who are meant to be in this industry. People who have a passion. Because hospitality, really, it is a passion. It's a calling. It is a service industry. And anything with a service industry, you really have to have that passion to wake up every morning to come and ask a guest, did you sleep well? How was your night? Was the temperature just correct? Was the pillow soft enough? How would you like your eggs done? That is not something that can be put into you. It's something that comes from inside. So now, what we are seeing is that people now are making conscious decisions about coming into this industry. And so the workforce that has come back to us after COVID are people who really want to be here. Now that's number one. Number two is that also the workforce outside. You know, we are a global village right now. The workforce outside has also dwindled. When you read a lot, you'll find that even as the industries opened up in the West, the hospitality industry had very few staff members coming back in. So now we have a number of our people, our Kenyans who are coming out of Utalii College, of the colleges that we have inside here, being poached to go and work outside, to go work outside in Dubai, Qatar, to go work outside in the ships. So, and of course, when they come, they collect the cream, because it is the cream who wants to go out. And then so at one particular point, we were left wondering, oh my goodness, are we going to be left with no people to serve in our hotels? But that is where TVET comes in. I'm a big supporter of TVET training colleges, and they have very good courses that are hands-on, that are now giving us the people to come and work in these spaces. And one of the things that we are seeing about the teams that are coming into the space of the hospitality industry, as I've said earlier, is people who want to be in this industry, and they are willing to learn, and they are willing to work, and they are here 100%. You know, so I think that is something good that has happened past COVID, is that we are getting a workforce that wants to be in this hospitality industry. And one of the things that I do when I carry out an interview, when I'm onboarding somebody, after all the questions, asking all the questions, I always ask them that question of, why are you here? You have to know the why of the what that you are doing. Why are you in the hospitality industry? And when you listen to them, when they talk to you about the why, you'll be able to know, this is somebody who will be with me, will help me grow this brand, and then I will release them later. So about that bit of releasing, as a manager of as a human resource manager, or a manager overseeing people, you always have to remember that. You always have to understand that the people who come to you are with you for a short time. It could be 5 years, it is still a short time. And during the time that they are with you, what have they learned from you? Because not only are they helping you build your brand as a hospitality industry, or as whatever brand that they are working, you are also helping them to build their brand. When they leave you, do they leave you better? Do they leave you knowing who they are, what they are supposed to do, where they are supposed to be? So we are stewards as the people here in where we are working. I'm a custodian of this business that I've been given to run. I'm a custodian of these people that have been given to manage. So with that consciousness, then I have to be sure that I am bringing out the best in this person that I'm managing, that I'm leading. There's a difference, you know, and people will follow you because of influence, not just because of what you tell them. How are you influencing the next generation, or the people who are under you? When they leave you and go to another facility to work, or leave you and go and open their own business, what will they say that they learned from you while they were with you? Now, given that, you will understand that the employees will stay with you once they realize what is in it for them. if an employee comes, after COVID, we realized during COVID, majority of us stayed home, and we stayed home for a number of months with no salary, and we survived. So right now, we know that we can be outside and we will live, we will not die. So employees, and when they are working for you, they have that in the back of their mind. So also, you have to realize that it's not like before where they would stay with you because of the check at the end of the month. There is the aspect of the check at the end of the month, but they're also looking at themselves. What is in it for me in this place? How am I growing? Is this company just using me to grow them, or are they growing me as well? And so you have to look at, as I've mentioned before, about how you lead them, how you develop them. And right now there are so many resources. Before you'd have to go for a training that you have to pay. But right now you can pay for LinkedIn Learning. We have Allison Online that has free courses. So all you need to do is to speak to them, get to know that every person that who's working for you or you're working with is an individual, and they have their own individual plans and individual dreams. Find out what those are and purposely invest in those. It might not be money, because right now we know how our economic situation is. It could be advice. Send them links. Tell them, go to this, study about this. You can get an online certificate for free. That is the space that we are living in right now. There are so many resources online. They just need to be pointed out in the right place. Talk to them about savings. If you call any circle situation right now, they will come. They will come, get your stuff at one place. Let the circles come and talk to them about savings. Because that is something that we realized also over COVID, that it is possible to stay without a job. There's no possibility of even going to work. So the savings that we had during that period of time is what kept some people. Yeah. So let people come in, talk to them about their other different likes. Do they like farming? So how can you get information for them so that they are here working, but they're also developing their farms back home? So this space that we are working in now as staff members or as colleagues is no longer just one-sided. We are here, yes, to grow the company that we are working for, but we also need to grow ourselves. And as a leader, as a manager, you also have to be listening, because these are the people who work. There are three things that you manage when you work. You manage the asset, you manage the manpower, you manage the money. It is this manpower that helps you get this money via this asset that you have. So if you don't take care of this manpower, then the money won't come in. Take care of this manpower and the money comes in. The bottom line just comes in as long as the manpower is taken care of. So you keep talking to them. You keep helping them realize their why to being there. You help them develop themselves. If you can, a great resource we have in this country is NITA. NITA has amazing courses that you can apply for your staff, as long as you're paying the 2% levy, that you can apply for your staff members, and they will go and be trained and come back and they'll have certificates. And so they will also continue to develop themselves.